Unfortunate, but for everything we give God the glory. May his soul rest in peace. God has a better plan.
Some militants of the SAVIEZ reacting then early this morning. Members of the nuclear and political family of the SAVIEZ party gathered at his residence in Kolfulu at the outskirts of Yaoundé. Our reporter Christian Mando returned from his home and sees the atmosphere that reigns there is unusual. Here's our report.
In John Frundi's courtyard in his home at Kolfulu this morning, members of his family were inconsolable. Near them were friends who have come to mourn. It's been few hours that the chairman has gone. His granddaughter could not find words to explain his departure. The pain is deep, her eyes swollen, and her face wet with tears. She finds it difficult to hold a conversation.
I don't know. The pain is too much. That is all I can say. He has kept us on the bridge that we cannot cross. That is where he ends us there.
It is in that building located at the road to Soa that the national president of the Social Democratic Front kicked the bucket last night, Monday, June 12. Since his return from Geneva in Switzerland, his health has been deteriorating over time. The Cameroonian opposition leader in the 90s has left family members of his party with memorable actions. Grimbanda is the Deputy Secretary General number 3 of the SDF.
I can confidently say that the person who brought democracy in Cameroon is the national chairman of the Social Democratic Front, John Fundi. The chairman is the only senior political figure. I classify the chairman as one of those in the Cameroon political pantheon. He moved around Cameroon a number of times, which many of our current political leaders have never done.
Lionel Kungamba, a collaborator to the late chairman in this sorrowful atmosphere, also expressed his feelings in regard to this death.
We have lost our monument, we've lost our guide. The chairman was very important for us, and he carried the ideology of the party for more than 30 years. We are really sad for his departure, and we just have to accept it by saying that God loves him more than us.
At the home of the initiator of the slogan "Power to the People," executives and members of the SDF took their places with the nuclear family in sadness. The body of the chairman is kept at Hôpital Génico Mortuary in Gousso while waiting for the funerals program.
Sad day, and some political actors since the passing away of the SAVIEZ chairman have been voicing out their feelings and the memory they keep of John Fundi Banadiers of the Union of the Peoples of Cameroon, UPC.
Well, the demise of John Fundi, who left us unannounced, if I may say, it's a huge blow, not only to his immediate family, his, nuclear family, but to the political family of Cameroon and all the historical events. This man played a huge role when we talk of multi-partism in Cameroon. We all know that when President Biya took over chair from Amadou Ahidjo in 1982, we had just one system of politics, which was a unique system of politics, was just the CPDM. This great Matthias had to sacrifice himself in 1990 to see that we have 300 and plus, political parties, which we all boast about. So it's a huge blow, and it's, we've been saying the widespread of RIP, rest in peace, across, social media. I'm still waiting for the condolence of President Biya, who I think is made and friend because they drafted a lot of things. We all know that John Fundi won the presidential elections and, gave it to his friend, President Biya. So we are still waiting for the head of Cameroon to say what they're supposed to. It's a national debt not only for the SDF, but for Cameroon at large because of what he did. We saw when he was kidnapped in Bamenda by the separatist fighters, he was held under hostage for 3 days, and he suffered a lot, he sacrificed a lot. So he is not only a hero, but he is a martyr. We're going to classify him amongst the Umnyobe, Félix Roland Moumier, Ndetumaza. He is a national hero, and we pay homage to that.
Some militants of the ruling party, Cameroon People's Democratic Movement Party, CPDM, did not remain indifferent as one of its communicants reacted to the death of the SDF chairman. Here now is Yakubu Jikam.
Concerning the death of Nijon Fundi is so disheartening. It is with a lot of regrets that we get in the news this morning, and it is really unfortunate for the political scene of our country. He has been one of the loyal and honorable opposition leader we have had, and think we will never have another opposition leader with such a character. We even saw last time when he decided that he was not going to represent himself as chairman of the Social Democratic Front. And today we are just getting this sad news. It is just horrible and terrible. May his soul rest in a perfect peace.
And to the Cameroon Party for National Reconciliation, an icon is gone. Blaise Kwadjika is of the CPNR party.
It is with a heavy heart that we receive a confirmation letter from the Central Committee of the Social Democratic Front that His Excellency Chairman Nijon Fundi transcended to our ancestors yesterday at exactly 11 p.m. due to a prolonged illness. My sincere condolence to the nuclear family, the political family, and to the entire nation while waiting to mourn one of the greatest leaders in Cameroon. May his soul rest in the blossom of Almighty. Since yesterday, Cameroon will be missing one of the pillars, a monument, an iconic leader who stood for democracy, who exercised the principles of democracy in Cameroon since 1990. Nijon will forever be the one who instigated, who brought democracy in Cameroon. He was the only person who tussled, who stood, confronted the regime in place, and who harnessed or inspired other leaders to stand and defend democratic values in our nation. Cameroon is really missing an important leader that will ever, forever stay in the history as Cameroon democracy is concerned.
The death of the SDF chairman Nijon Fundi has been perceived by some Cameroonians as a great loss in Cameroon's political landscape. Let's get them speak in the following voice pop.
He was a hero and a mentor to me and to many others. He taught us the value of democracy, human rights, and social solidarity. He showed us how to stand up for what is right and to never give up on our dreams. He was a true leader and a true patriot who loved Cameroon and its people. I will always remember his smile, his wisdom, and his courage. He have left lasting legacy that will inspire generations to come. May his soul rest in peace.
It's a sad day for the country at large because Nijon Fundi was an icon. His arrival in Cameroon's political landscape through the forceful creation of the SDF, forcefully created it because the regime in place did not want multipartyism. They fought so hard against it. But his forceful creation of the SDF brought presence of democracy in the country. He will be remembered for that. His non-violent approach during the aftermath of 1992 elections, which he reportedly won, is another marking event in Cameroon that brought him to the limelight as a peace crusader and a true advocate for the well-being of the people he represented alongside his party.
Nijon Fundi was a man, an icon of Cameroon politics. Nijon Fundi has established democracy in Cameroon. Nijon Fundi was a peacemaker. Nijon Fundi was the man of the people. Nijon Fundi was the man who stood for justice and truth.
Some Cameroonians reacting there, and now the Director of Information, Abel Bella-Samari, in the following report looks at the political life of late Nijon Fundi, National Chairman of the Social Democratic Front Party.
Nijon Fundi, born on July 7, 1941, was a highly respected Cameroonian politician who had a significant impact on the nation's political landscape. Hailing from Babatu in the northwest region of Cameroon, he pursued his education in Cameroon, attending the Basal Mission and the Santa Native Authority before moving to Nigeria to study at the Lagos City College and work in 1957. Returning to Cameroon in 1966, Fundi started his professional journey by selling vegetables, and he later owned a bookstore in Bamenda called the EB Book Center and headed the football club PWD Social Club of Bamenda from 1979 to 1988. Fundi's political career began when he contested as a candidate of the ruling Cameroon People's Democratic Movement in Mezam Central constituency during the single party in 1988 parliamentary election. However, he lost to another CPDM list. In 1990, Nijon Fundi founded the Social Democratic Front, an opposition party that would become the main opposition force in Cameroon. He was elected the SDF National Chairman at its first ordinary national convention held in Bamenda in May 1992. Fundi's establishment of the SDF marked a new era in Cameroon political affairs, challenging the status quo and creating a platform for alternative voices. Fundi made a strong show in October 1992 presidential election, competing against incumbent President Paul Biya. Despite official results showing Fundi is gaining 36% of the votes against Biya's 40%, the opposition condemns the election as fraudulent. Nijon Fundi and the third-place opposition candidate Bedo Buba Maigari unsuccessfully sought the Supreme Court's annulment of the election. In the aftermath, violence erupted in the northwest region, and Fundi was placed under house of arrest for about a month. Fundi's political career experienced a boost when he and his wife Rose attended the inauguration of United States President Bill Clinton on January 20th, 1993. Their presence at the event, including a photograph with the Clintons, symbolically enhanced Fundi's recognition and legitimacy in light of his claim to have won the 1992 election. The SDF, along with other opposition parties, boycotted the October 1997 presidential election. In October 2004 presidential election, Fundi took the second place with 17.40% of the vote against Biya's 70.92%. Fundi criticized the July 2007 parliamentary election as fraudulent and demanded its annulment. In the election, the SDF won the second highest number of seats but fell far below the ruling CPDM party. After the election, Fundi called for President Paul Biya to recognize him as the official leader of the opposition. In April 2008, Fundi called for a national day of mourning to remember those who died during the 2008 anti-government protests and the death of democracy in Cameroon. Fundi will be remembered to continue political journey by participating in the October 11 presidential election, placing a distant second behind Biya. Following the election, Fundi and other presidential candidates called for the annulment of the election. In the April 2018 Senate election, Fundi stood as candidate in the Northwest region but failed to win a seat in the Senate, alleging that the ruling party had bribed some SDF local councillors. Fundi was criticized of the Cameroonian government's handling of the Anglophone crisis, a war that personally affected him. Nijon Fundi's political career spanned over 3 decades, during which he played a pivotal role in shaping Cameroon's political landscape. As the founder of the Social Democratic Front, the SDF party, he provided an alternative voice to the ruling party and fought for democratic principles and changes. Although he never achieved the presidency, Fundi's impact on Cameroon's politics remains significant, and his legacy will continue to inspire future generations seeking change and progress in Cameroon. Prior to his death, Nijon Fundi was preparing to host a convention at which a new executive organ would be elected, seeing him step down as chairman of the Social Democratic Front, the SDF party.
Abel Bella Samarinda in the editorial. And still to come in this news edition, the International Albinism Awareness Day is on the spotlight today under the theme Inclusion is Great, but just how do people treat albino in our society?
People think that an albino is not a person, and that is totally false. Albinos are human beings like us blacks. We are one. God created all of us, and I do associate with some of them because I have friends who are albinos, and I'm not also scared of them.
Albino in Cameroon and across the world are today on the spotlight as the International Albinism Awareness Day is being celebrated today. This year's theme is Inclusion is Strength. This year's theme builds on last year's call for albinism affected people to have their voices heard in all spheres of society. How do Cameroonians behave toward albino? We capture some of their reactions in this Vox Pop.
They are people like us, they are human beings. When I see them, I just see the greatness of God, a God who creates people differently, uniquely, and of course, He's just so great. Yeah, so when I look at them, I just see the greatness of God. And of course, I do associate with them, and even had an uncle. He was an albinos, and we loved him so much. I love them. They are not different from us. They are human beings like us, like any other.
I think albinos are human beings like us, and equally I do associate with them. I'm not scared of them. I associate with them.
For me, I think albinos are not different from us. They are the same people, they are the same everything, just their skin color and their eyes that are different, but they are very the same, and I do associate with them. I have two friends that are albinos. We are just like, in fact, for me, we are not different, but the same. So I don't see them like extraordinary people. Or
people think that an albino is not a person, and that is totally false. Albinos are human beings like us blacks. We are one. God created all of us, and I do associate with some of them because I have friends who are albinos, and I'm not also scared of them.
Some Cameroonians reacting during today's celebration of the International Albinism Awareness Day. But what do we understand by albinism, its causes, and how can it be managed? Fenwick Crispin Cather with a medical doctor in the person of Dr. Paul Chapchet, who sheds light on the above problematic. Take a listen.
Albinism is a genetic disorder which leads to the absence of the black pigment which is normally produced in the skin. So in the absence of the black pigment which is normally found in the skin, we'll have the typical presentation of all albinos. So when they say that it is a genetic disorder, it's to say that it is an abnormal trait which is embedded into the gene. One important thing to note is that this abnormality is inherited from the parents. That is, there is half of it which comes from the mother and half which comes from the father. So the combination of this is what gives the albinism. So albinism is not contagious since the abnormality is embedded, since the abnormality is kind of hidden inside the gene. It cannot be cured. There are only management ways in order to avoid some complications, but it cannot be cured.
Out of the country, Godswill Akpabio is the new elected president of the Nigerian Senate. The election comes during a short voting process whereby the 60-year-old militant of the ruling All Progressive Congress Party received 63 votes to defeat its rival, fellow party member Abdulaziz Yari, worth noting that Godswill Akpabio was a former governor of Akwa Ibom State and will now lead 108 other senators who are being inaugurated today. In more foreign news, we take you to the U.S. whereby Donald Trump is due to appear in court in Florida to face charges of mishandling sensitive documents after he left the White House. The hearing will last for about an hour today and will address various procedural issues, although it is unlikely a trial date will be set. A judge earlier rejected a request by news organization to allow photo and video access inside. At this point in time, we welcome Evans William Jabati, who comes in with our sport package. Good afternoon, Evans.
Good afternoon, Germaine.
The Cameroon Golf Ambassadors Cup has just ended in Yaoundé.
Yes, Germaine. The competition began on Saturday 10th and ended yesterday, Monday 12th of June 2023 at the Golf Club in Yaoundé. This competition brings together different diplomatic corps as well as political personalities to dine in the game of golf. This year's edition saw Cameroon emerge champions. It is important to note that the French embassy is the main sponsor of these competitions. Let us now listen to some reactions from the personalities present.
I think the Ambassadors Cup is a full success on the sports side because the professional competition was a very good, very high level, and for the amateurs it was very successful as well. So I'm very glad today at the end of this event to see that everything went perfectly.
When we have a partner as a Coupe des Ambassadeurs, it's a very great moment because we have to improve our level of golf, and it's a big tournament, and we can congratulate all the organization of this second edition. I think that I told what I want to say for the organization. They have a big sponsor, 18 sponsor. They can do more for the area of money prize of a professional, and I think that next year they will do better.
Last year there was 56 competitors for the amateurs competition. This year 33 professional players, 140 amateurs. Next year our plan is to make an open of golf.
In basketball, Cameroon's born Eric Emeniat has returned to the country after his recent elections into the FIFA Zone 4 presidency.
Honorable Aimé Eric Nyat, who holds the position of the Vice President of the Cameroon Basketball Federation, FECA Basket, was elected in over the weekend in Mozambique's capital city, Maputo. The statesman will lead as president in the FIBA Zone 4 gathering, which comprises of Cameroon, Chad, Gabon, Equatorial Guinea, Niger, and DR Congo. Upon arrival at the the Douala International Airport, we were opportune to get him speak in this interview.
I'm honored to be here. I'm honored to have been elected as the president of the Zone 4. It shows the trust that the other president of the other federations have in Cameroon. I want to thank Mr. Nduku, the president of the Cameroon Federation. I think it shows the work that he has been done for many years now that he's been president of the federation. He has been recognized as such, and that's why it was the end result is the election for the zone. So now we have to work. We have to. There's a lot of challenge ahead, and we have to start working.
Let's now have the news summary in the French language with Florent Goyam. Good afternoon, Florent Goyam.
Bon après-midi, Germaine. Plus que 26 jours avant la cérémonie du tirage au sort de la mutuelle d'assistance et de solidarité pour le compte de l'acte 3. Mais avant la tenue de cet événement, le 9 juillet prochain au Palais Polyvalent des Sports de Yaoundé, les agences Renaprove Finance SA sont à pied d'œuvre dans le bouclage des cotisations des mutualistes retardataires afin que ces derniers soient éligibles à bénéficier des lots et avantages de la MASSO. En politique, le social-démocratique Front est en deuil. Ni John Fundi, leader de ce parti politique, s'est éteint hier à son domicile en Kolfoulou, près de Yaoundé, des suites de maladie. Âgé de 82 ans, il laisse une famille nucléaire et politique dans les mois et la tristesse. À l'étranger Nigeria, l'ancien gouverneur de l'État d'Akwa Ibom, Godswill Akpabio, a été élu président du Sénat de la 10e Assemblée. Après moult tractations, Akpabio remporte le scrutin avec 63% des voix contre 46 de son principal challenger, Yari Abdulaziz. Enfin, sport football, le club Djiko FC de Banjul a été relégué en élite 2, 7e sur 11 dans la sous-poule A. Son président Joseph Tche digère mal la situation et dénonce le non-respect des textes et un abus de confiance de la part de la FECAFOOT dont il a soutenu la candidature du mandataire actuel, à savoir Samuel Eto'o-Fils.
And that news summary puts a wrap on our 2 p.m. news on 88.4 Royal FM. Romiale Kume was a sound technician, video editor Jean-Marie Otto, producer Eraton Dwe, editorial coaching Ilba Bella Samari, coordination Jean-Paul Santala, general supervision Reverend Pastor Bisai Emmanuel, news editing and presentation have been Germenta. Up next is Fraicheur Royale with RAïSSA Moko. RAïSSA Parker, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Germenta. C'est justement la deuxième partie de Fraicheur Royale. On a déjà nos choix de musique dans la rubrique coup de cœur. On va diffuser cela tout à l'heure. On aura également la place pratique avec Miss Prudence. Ce sera à 14h passé de 45 minutes.
Dear listeners, don't move a muzzle. Stay tuned. Good day.